More blessings and peace. Ramadan Mubarak. 3.7 miles this morning, better than yesterday. This video, I want to deal with accountability. And accountability forces you to deal with the root cause of all things. And many of us, we don't want to deal with the root cause of all things. Before I deal with self-accountability, and when I say self, I'm dealing with the black community and our responsibility to each other. Ultimately, it's our responsibility to protect and serve ourselves. We have a God, and we claim to believe in that God. So we have a God-given right, and Allah-given right, a supreme being right to protect and serve each other. We're not babies. We don't need to have our hand held. It's not the white man's responsibility to protect and serve us, to protect us against one another, because ultimately we're at war against each other. They kill us and we kill us. They prey upon us and we prey upon us. So we have a responsibility to protect and serve each other. And ultimately that means to do for self. But before I address us, allow me to deal with the accountability dealing with black police officers throughout this country. Black police officers have recently come out, unlike ever before, to criticize NBA star and activist LeBron James, saying that he spoke too soon in relation to the Makhia Bryant murder by the white police officer. Black self-hatred, that's what it does. It forces you to be quick to defend the oppressor, slow to defend your brother and sister. I saw one black police officer in LA he wrote a letter requesting to meet with LeBron so he can talk to him about some things. And this same black officer was defending the white officer who shot and killed Makhia Bryant. All the unlawful, all of the murders of black lives that have been unjustified, that were simply lost as a result of white racial hatred. Where was the black voice then? The black voice of black police officers. Where was the black police officer's voice when George Floyd was murdered? Breonna Taylor, when she was murdered. I didn't hear black police officers speaking out as bold and loud, as they are now, to defend a white police officer. You're not really attacking LeBron. You're simply defending your white brother. Who you feel you have more of a responsibility to your white brother because he wears the same uniform as you. You feel more of a connection with him by way of your artificial color, that uniform you wear versus the color that you were born with, black. But where was your black voice? Where was the black police officer's voice? Where has it been? It's been absent. It's been absent during all of these murders of black people. Black police officers, your voice has been grossly absent. But in dealing with accountability, let me say this, and I know some of you may disagree, but ultimately, the blood of Makhia Bryant and her life, her loss of life, is on our hands as a black community. The reason why I say that, and I'm not defending what this coward, racist bastard did. I'm not defending him, in no form or fashion. I'm dealing with accountability and our responsibility to each other. Her loss of life is on our hands. Because when the confrontation took place, family, there were black adults present who stood by and did nothing. There were black male teenagers present who stood by and did nothing. See, we have a habit. It's part of culture now. You know, you go on YouTube and you see video after video. You go on WorldStar and Twitter and Facebook and you see all these videos of black women fighting each other like savages, ripping each other's clothes off, you know, breast exposed, vagina exposed, panties, drawers exposed, ripping each other's hair out, ripping each other's weave out and wigs off. While black men just hold their cell phones up in the air, you know, laughing, cheering, rooting, recording, doing nothing to intervene, you know. So quick to display our beast mentality, our savagery before the entire world, you know. So, you know, had the black adults who were present the day that Makhia Bryant was confronted by other females where she felt her life was threatened, which prompted her to call the police. Had the black adults intervened, the police would have never been called. Had the black male teenagers who were present intervened, the police would have never been called. So we continue to fail each other as if we don't have a responsibility towards one another, to protect and serve one another, you know. So black self-hatred is destroying us, you know. It frees us of responsibility for each other. You know, I think about this situation with Makhia Bryant, and I want to share this perspective with you all in my closing. If you take the same scenario and you put it, had it been played out in an affluent white neighborhood, a white suburban neighborhood or a very affluent white neighborhood, involving 16-year-old white female teenagers, and the police arrive at the scene to a house that's a $500,000 house, a $250,000 house, $1 million home, and they arrive to the scene and there's a white teenage 16-year-old girl who was the daughter of the local sheriff or a local politician or a local CEO, a local doctor, a local lawyer. Again, we're dealing with affluency, a white affluent neighborhood. Had the same situation played out in such a community, there's no one on earth or heaven above that can convince me that it would have resulted in the murder of a 16-year-old white girl, you know. And that's something that we need to really look at. The officer knew what type of situation he was going to, right? He knew that he was going to a situation that involved teenage girls, and a more non-lethal use of force should have been predetermined to use a more non-lethal use of force. So the officer is not innocent of his decision or his choice to make a split-second decision to take her life versus using a split-second decision to save her life. You know, he's not exempt, you know, but neither are we, black community. You know, we have to stop standing by and watching our own demise. We have to stop standing by, put the damn cell phones down, you know, and get involved when you see black on black hate taking place in front of your eyes. Put your damn cell phones down and get involved when you see a black life being brutalized by the police. See, that should be our oath to each other. You know, put your damn cell phones down and get involved. You know, George Floyd, he cried out to his dead mother because he knew that he had no help coming from the living, you see. So he cried out to his dead mother, you know. What good are we to each other after the fact? What good are we to each other? In the George Floyd murder case, there was, or the George Floyd murder, the young brother who was an MMA fighter, you know, who many of you raised as a hero, you exalt as a hero, you know, because of his words during a trial, you know. But with all his skill, he offered George Floyd no help. He testified after the fact, you know, at his trial, you know, talking about what he would do had the officer touched him again, you know, that he would have slapped him, you know, had the officer put his hands on him, you know. But you stood by calling the officers bro, you know, bro, among other names, you know, but he offered George Floyd no help. I'm going to keep pushing this. Jesus love. We don't have Jesus love. And Jesus love requires that you sacrifice or to be willing to sacrifice your life for the benefit of another. You know, see, we don't love like that. And the condition that we're in as black people, that's the kind of love that we have to have for each other. But we become so selfish and so self-hating that, you know, none of us want to die a fool's death, and none of us want to give up our life for an ungrateful, unappreciative other. You know, so there's no requirement for that. But because of our condition, you know, we can't just keep standing by, you know, watching each other die. You know, we don't need to be witnesses to each other's die. You know, let's live together, let's fight together, or let's die together. You know, but all this standing by with cell phones, time out, family, time out. World blessings and peace.